Wow, it's lovely to see you again. I truly do miss you when I'm not with you. We have some visitors with us as well this morning. We'll welcome them a little bit later. But let us first do what we always do first, and that is we just focus our attention on Him. The reason why we are here this morning at all, to meet with Him, to be with Him, to hear His voice. And so I'm just going to read a couple of verses which will tie up again with the word we're going to share later on. So listen carefully to these words. And this is from Psalm 84. And I'm starting just a bit of a way through verse 3. And then we'll read 4 and 5. And the psalmist writes, O Lord Almighty, my King and my God, blessed are those who dwell in your house. Make a note of that word, blessed. We're going to look at what that means later on. Blessed are those who dwell in your house. They are ever praising you. Blessed are those whose strength is in you, who have set their hearts on pilgrimage. And actually, that verse there, blessed are those whose strength is in you, you will see how clear that becomes later on. O Lord Almighty, my God and my King and my God, blessed are those who dwell in your house. They are ever praising you. Blessed are those whose strength is in you, who have set their hearts on pilgrimage. All right, so now let us just gather our thoughts. Of course, we always learn something from what we get from the young ones too. But now we need to go look at this thing a little bit deeper. So let's go back to our readings, and especially, well, we look at all of them. I just want to draw your attention to the bits and pieces. And of course, here in Genesis, wow, we need to look at one thing first. It's a very important thing. And that is the curses. The curse. So, something that we don't always pick up, and which is very important for us to realize, what did God curse? What or who did God curse? Cursed the serpent, and he cursed Adam. Did he?
He cursed the ground.
Yeah, he didn't curse Adam, nor did he curse Eve. What did he curse? He cursed Satan, and he cursed the ground. Now that's very important. He did not curse Adam or Eve. Well, they were now confined to basically their consequences, and there they are in that picture. They're tilling the ground, and it's pretty hard, and childbearing is very painful. But he did not curse them. Cursed the ground, so the ground was cursed, and Satan was cursed. Now, again, in Deuteronomy, and we can just go there. I want you just to refresh your memory there. Deuteronomy 11. What's that, Hannah?
Oh, we're talking about if childbirth was a curse as well. He didn't say that he cursed.
No. It was a consequence. There's now pain in childbirth. I suppose beforehand the babies were just going to pop out. It was going to be quite nice. But now there's a complication. Okay. And this morning we're going to consider what it means to be cursed. It's very, very important for us, because I don't think in our minds we have the right idea at all. In fact, let's just give it a go. Tell me what you think it means to be cursed. Jess?
See it more as a punishment.
Punishment for sure. You are cursed. Okay, and of course Max said it's something that sticks to you. Sticks to you, okay? What else ideas do you have of being cursed? If I say to you, you're cursed. Things go wrong, yes, then we believe, oh man, we're cursed. Okay. Things go wrong.
It's like they go wrong more than they should.
Yes, naturally things go wrong, but this is ridiculous. Okay, things go wrong more than they should. I must be cursed. Okay, very good, very, very good. You've got a car like that. This car is cursed. When I need it to work, it doesn't work. Okay. I have a computer that's like that. I am certain that the devil gets into computers. Okay, so curse. So that's your idea of curse. Now I want to tell you first off that that is not at all the Old Testament idea of cursed. It's not even what the word means. Nothing close to our sort of voodoo-like idea of what a curse is, you know? Oh, like a lightning bolt or something that you just can't shake and that really rattles your bones, eh? The hair stand up on your neck and all sorts of things. That's the idea we have. It is not at all the biblical idea. And this morning we'll set the record straight. Okay, so we go to Deuteronomy and we have there in chapter 11, very straightforward, isn't it? He just says something very simple. A blessing or a curse. Sitting before you today, a blessing and a curse. Blessing if you obey the commands, curse if you disobey the commands. Okay? Here we see it, 27, 26, 27. Makes it very clear. So we also find that what is the opposite of a curse? A blessing. Yeah, so here we have curse and blessing together, and they are indeed opposites of one another. Okay? Oh, you're looking at my Bible, Daniel. I need to get a new one. Blessings and curses. All right, and then of course, we have this amazing little chapter that was read to us this morning by young Ethan. And of course, what did you find interesting there? What does the king, Balak, hire Balaam, a professional curser, to come and do?
To get a blessing.
No?
Kiss Israel.
He wanted him because there's Israel. Yes, Dave?
They wanted to defeat them better,
Yes. And there's so many. And so he reckons, I'm going to hire myself a professional curser. And he gets him in. And okay, do your business, he says. And Balak, Balaam, he says, all right, we need some altars here. And he builds them and makes some fires and stuff. And then he says, I'm going to go over there and I'll consult with God. And the king says, yeah, that's good. It's really good. And what does Balaam come back and do? What does he come back and do? Blesses them. Oh, okay. And the king gets a bit upset. He says, No. Did you hear me wrong? No, stop this. I didn't hire you to bless them. I hired you to curse them. Let's do it again. Let's come over here. So he changes the position. Okay. That's all that we've read here. Quite marvelous. And then, of course, he says, oh, yeah, I'm going to set the altars up again. And he does the same thing again. And the king says, yeah, that's good, that's real good. And all the princes are there also with the king. And Israel is the enemy. And what happens the second time? Balaam comes back, and what does he do? He blesses them again. And by this time the king's going crazy. He says, no, I didn't hire you for this. And you know what? It happens a third time. Unbelievable. And what does Balaam give the king as an explanation? And this is very important. What does he give the king as an explanation of why this has occurred. Hey? Yes, yes. Actually, I think Balaam, it was almost something like this. He couldn't literally get the cursing words out. His mouth was taken over and out came the blessings, and he must have gone something like, oh my word. Because God was speaking. But what he says is this, and it's important for us to go and look at that. Let's go to Numbers 23. The reason why he couldn't curse them. He says here, 20, verse 20 of 23 of Numbers. I received a command to bless. He has blessed, and I cannot change it. Who has blessed? God. He has blessed them. And I cannot undo that. I cannot unbless them. I cannot curse them because they are blessed of God. Sorry, I can't do anything. So who's in charge of the blessing and the cursing? In our previous understanding of what a curse is, who is in charge of cursing?
Anyone who wants to.
Hey?
Anyone who wants to.
Okay. But essentially, who do we think is involved when we think we curse? Yes, definitely. And yet, from this passage, it is very clear. No, hang on a minute. He says, sorry. Maybe he even said, you can have your money back or something. I don't know. He says, I cannot undo the bliss. They've been blessed. I cannot curse them. Wow. It's almost as if the curse bounces right off. Oh, they're uncursable. Because God has blessed them. And you can go and read that again for yourself. And it's so funny, in 25, the king Balak said to Balaam, neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all. You know what he's saying? Just shut up, please. Don't say anything more. Because you're just leading me further into trouble here. Because by this time, with these words of Balaam, he says, look, no misfortune is seen in Jacob. No misery observed in Israel. The Lord their God is with them. The Lord their God is with them. The shout of the king is among them. God brought them up out of Egypt. And we must remember, and this is very important, the context of this is Israel doing and being on the mission that God had set for them. It's very important. They are right there, taking over the nations, doing what He wants them to do, and He is covering them completely. They are uncursable. He says, God brought them out of Egypt. They have the strength of a wild ox. By now the king's legs are starting to shake. There's no sorcery against Jacob, no divination against Israel. Cannot help. And of course, now we need to go and look at what the word curse means in the Hebrew. Because that's the key. And of course, there are two words in Hebrew for the word curse. The one is kailala. Kailala. La la la. Kailala is the one word. And arar, A-R-A-R is the other word. Those two words. But in English, of course, it just says curse. So you wouldn't even know that there's a special word the Lord uses when He curses in a specific way, and another word He uses when He curses in another way. In English, it's just curse and curse. So we just take our idea of what we have a curse is and pop it in there, and off we go, and we have no understanding at all of what is being said. So, the first one, arar, A-R-A-R, is used by God in Genesis when He curses who? Do you think? And kailala is used when He curses the other thing. Now, arar, A-R-A-R, means to be restricted, bound, and made powerless by God. often for the purposes of destruction. Erar. That was the word he used for Satan. Okay? But not the word he used for the ground. Well, obviously not for Adam and Eve either, because we saw that they weren't the cursed ones. Ground was cursed. He uses this word, kelala. And that is, literally, if we want to, the literal translation of the word kelala is to make something smaller. Like when you go on a copier and you reduce it. That's the word, it's kelala, it's to make something smaller. But what it means in this, to diminish, so the earth, and I mean, think of this. So he uses the word kelala to make something smaller or diminish its capacity. Now, does that sound like punishment, first of all? Does it sound like punishment?
Maybe for a redemptive purpose.
Ah, now that's marvelous. Because the strange thing is with kelala, God always does kelala in order that they may turn to Him. And once you have this idea in your head, then so much of the minor prophets make sense, because what does God say? Like in Haggai and in Malachi, He says you are under a curse because your plants don't want to grow, everything is dying, you come there and there's no fruit, there's nothing, etc. He has kelala'd it, He has made it shrink in order that they may turn to Him. But we think of curse in something in a totally different way. Kelala means to make smaller or to diminish its capacity. Now I ask you, not long ago I did a little message here with the little ones, and we looked at the absolute generosity of God in nature. Remember, you plant one potato, you get 8 or 10 or 12 back. You plant a little potato, a little tomato seed, and you get anything between 70 and 100 tomatoes from it. And we said, wow, Lord, your creation is abundant. Well, unbelievable that it's been kelala. It's been diminished. Imagine how it would have been. It would have been nuts. Just going crazy. This is what it produces even in its diminished form. Isn't that beautiful, hey? Wow, imagine what it would have been like. So now, let's look at the other word. So there we have erar, and that means to be restricted, bound, and made powerless by God for the purposes of destruction. And kelala, to diminish in capacity for the moment. It's a temporary thing. Then it also makes sense. What does it say about nature? Nature groans in expectation. It's marvelous, eh? Because it's just something that is put on it for a certain purpose. Not the kind of cursing that we think. I mean, even God's cursing is beautiful. Even His cursing is merciful. Because it's not what we think cursing is. But fine, there we have those two words, erar and kelala. But now there's another word in Deuteronomy. What does it say? Blessed. This is curse, and believe it or not, in Deuteronomy, which word do you think is used? Blessings, curses if you disobey, blessings if you obey. Which one of those two do you think? Yeah. It's just, if you don't obey, well, things are going to shrink for you until you come right. Wow. That is just marvelous. It speaks of the absolute mercy of the living God, doesn't it? Far from coming with a big axe, I'm going to chop your head off, Daniel, boom, gone. Get out of my sight, you know, it's amazing. He says diminishes it so that you start asking questions and you come back to Him. Now, of course, there's this other word, blessing. Blessing, so if cursing then is this diminishing of the fruit of whatever you're doing, like it says in Haggai and Malachi, and I want you to go and read there because you'll see, oh my word, I see, it's all correct. He's diminishing. He says, I struck with mildew your crops, and yet you did not turn to me. Yeah. But fine, so here's this other word, blessing. So, if kailala means to diminish, what do you think blessing is? Increase. Increase hugely. Yeah? Yeah, so the word is barakah. B-A, barakah. B-A-R-A-K-A. That's the word for blessing. And what does it mean? It means divine favor that empowers a person to, and the secret is in the two. Divine favor that empowers a person to what? To?
Be with God. And I said to you,
To be
a blessing to others.
a blessing to others. It's amazing, this Hebrew word. Divine favor that empowers a person to do that which God gives them to do. Oh, hang on a minute. Okay, so what is tied up in this Hebrew word? Here's the actual translation. Divine favor that empowers a person to fulfill God's purpose and plans. Okay, so now, what do you see this divine favor and power is tied up with? God's plans and purposes. God's plans and purposes. That is amazing. So we cannot actually have our own plan. Oh God, bless it, bless it. Oh God, bless it. Forget it. It's going to diminish. Why? Because that divine power is only available for His purposes. His purposes. Okay, so let's bring it together. If you want to experience a curse, what must you do? The diminishing. Yeah, just follow your own plans, no problem. God is not going to say, with a big machine gun, boom, 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 kill them all, or whatever. He says, okay, no problem. Look, this is your choice. This is your choice. Off you go into your diminished area. That's it. But all the time he says, but here in my hand is all this power and divine favor if you come to your senses and start doing what I want you to do. It's available right there. He's wonderful in that way, isn't he? He just says, he doesn't curse Adam or Eve. He says to them, oh, okay, you don't listen. Now you are kailala, it's all diminished in its capacity. Now you're going to have to eke a living out of this ground. Before it was just going to produce it for you.
It's so like the prodigal son, isn't it? The prodigal son, you know.
Right.
The son goes off, he wants to do his own thing, and he
Yes,
ends up eating-
diminishes.
Yeah, pig food, you know.
Down to pig food.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then he returns and boy, bring the best robe. Bring this, bring this.
Kill the fatted cow.
Amazing.
Bless this.
Amazing. That is the meaning of being cursed or blessed. So I want to bring something else to your attention. If I say, when things go wrong with me, more than they're supposed to, what is the problem? Am I cursed? Can I go around and say, good heavens, I'm cursed, man. This car is cursed. This whole place is cursed. This job is cursed. I'm cursed. My whole life is cursed. Can we say that? Because that is what we say, isn't it? Or what we think anyway. Yes? Heinz?
You can say it because you're not doing God's proof.
Yes! You are under that kailala. If I have my own plans and my own purposes, and I'm asking God to bless it, it just diminishes and diminishes more. It's no wonder I reach the point in the end where I say, the work of my hands are cursed, and God says, but there's a reason. There's a reason. It's not for no reason. We must let go of this voodoo mojo idea of what we have of cursing, because the solution, if you do feel you're cursed, okay, let's say you do, Amy, you feel you're cursed. What is your solution? What have we learned from Balaam? What is your solution? Absolutely. To be in him and under his protection and in his plan, there is no curse there. There is no existence of a curse there. It cannot enter there. Balaam tried, and I'm sure it was quite a lucrative contract he had with the king. And he just couldn't do it. And he has to say to the king in the end, sorry, they're uncursable. It's as simple as that. Because they are fulfilling God's purpose, they're in God's plan, and he is with them and he's protecting them. Sorry, no curse can do. No can do curse.
In this verse here, in 2 Corinthians 9, now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store of seed and enlarge the harvest of your righteousness. You will be made rich in every way, so that
No
you
more
rejoice
Kailala. Beautiful.
on every occasion, and through us your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God.
Marvelous. Isn't that beautiful? And I've realized this week, even just in mulling over this word that the Lord has given, I started seeing it popping up everywhere. In the prayer of Jabez, actually, he prays, Lord, enlarge my territory. But what happens first is he comes into line with God's purposes and plans for his life. I mean, I think we waste a lot of time and a lot of energy pulling against, and we think we're cursed. But God is just going, yeah, you cannot believe the amount of resources and favor and power I have for you. If only you would align your life to my purposes for you, you would be blessed. And then we go off and we consult people who say, my brother, I think you must pray for me because I think I'm cursed. I must go to an exorcist. I must. But all the time you are actually not in God's plans and purposes. That's all. There's not some mojo voodoo reason. You are uncursable if you're in God's plan and purposes and He's with you. End of story. And a curse, don't think about it in that way. God's cursing is diminishing the capacity, diminishing the fruit from your hands. It's all diminished. In fact, in one of the small minor prophets, he says, you put your money into purses with holes in them. And you come there and there's nothing there. That is God's Kailala, but for you to turn to Him. So, if you find some Kailala in your life, best we do that. Best we do it even now, today, together here. Lord, am I even doing what you want me to do? I might think I am. But if there is this diminished capacity of it, good grief, Lord, it's as if I'm cursed. Well, then come to Him, and only He can show you. And let's get into alignment with what He has in mind for your life. And that curse will go from your life. Isn't that marvelous? In fact, there's a little note here, Arar, the destruction curse. That's what King Balak ordered from Balaam. He uses that word. I want you to Arar them. It must be destroyed. Well, of course, not possible. For Balaam. Amazing. There's nothing you could do. Jean?
It just keeps coming through. You reap what you sow. So if you tie that in, if you're intent on your own purposes or your own things, then you'll reap very few blessings.
You reap very, very little. There's no. God is wanting. He's wanting to bless. Wanting to bless. Yeah. So let us pray together. There's a bit of time.